Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest edition of our entertainment show, where we look at iconic movies and TV series that are coming our way the next month or so here in Ireland. And this week, we're delighted to feature one movie. We might have remembered the original movie, The Purge. In terms of this sort of horror type movie where allowed people for one night of the year, one day of the year, in terms of to commit awful atrocities on terms of humankind. And obviously, it was sort of everyone sort of let go their sort of demons, as said, and took them out on each other. Well, the sequel is here now. It's called The Forever Purge. And basically, the premises that the purge lasts longer for that entire day. I'm delighted to be joined by one of the stars of the movie, Cassidy Freeman. Cassidy, the Forever Purge. Tell me, what does it sort of mean to you in terms of its meaning? Is it, as I mentioned there, is it human beings committing atrocities on each other for maybe eternity, or what's your whole sort of premises of the movie?
Yeah, well, this one is definitely different than the other four. This is the fifth final purge, and the idea that people need a day, or it actually is 12 hours to sort of get out all of their anger and their violence, and the idea that if they do that, then they'll be docile and kind and not murderous for the rest of the year. This movie is different in that people sort of lean into this very violent version of themselves and asking themselves, well, this anger that I have isn't really quenched in those 12 hours, and what if we just kept doing it? And I think it's interestingly the real question of humanity. I love how the early purges progressively got more and more political in terms of like, what does it mean, who actually gets purged, who's safe, who's not. It becomes a class thing. It can't not. If you have the money to protect yourself, then you obviously have a leg up on everybody else who doesn't. And the idea of this purge is more about cleansing, which is something that is unfortunately still something we have to deal with, those ideas. So I think it's very of the time. It's very important film for that reason. And I'm really glad for the people that were in it and our director, Everardo.
And Cassidy, can you tell us about your own character in terms of her role and in the movie?
Sure, yeah. The movie takes place it starts on a ranch, and it's run by a Caucasian family. Will Patton is the patriarch of that family, and his son Dylan, and I played Dylan's wife, who is 8 months pregnant in the film. So when the Forever Purge begins, it is actually begun by other Caucasian workers on the ranch, and their frustration is how they've been overlooked and not paid enough, and they don't feel like they have the same amount of opportunities in the world. So their idea to find opportunities is to cleanse the United States of anyone who isn't Caucasian.
Yeah.
um, and it's this beautiful story of like the coming together of the Mexican workers on the ranch with this family who don't share those cleansing views. And so I see Cassie, who is my character,
Yeah.
strangely very close to my actual name, um, uh, as kind of the hope also, because she is pregnant. She kind of signifies the future. And she's definitely something that everyone likes to protect in the film and has to keep safe.
And Cassidy, in terms of landing the role in this movie, in terms of getting cast in the role as Cassie, can you tell us how that came about? Was it the normal sort of, in terms of casting type process, where your agent sort of recommended you for the role, or you heard about it? And in terms of, was it a long sort of casting process for you to land the role?
It wasn't long. It was funny when I first got the audition sent to me for review. I actually thought I would be going out for the sister role because she was sort of the rancher badass, like, knows how to shoot guns and knows how to ride horses, and that's like maybe a little closer to my actual my actual life. And so I was intrigued at the idea that I could be the vulnerable character, the more vulnerable character, And it was a very quick casting process. I went to Los Angeles and I actually got to audition in the room, which is not very common these days, especially post-COVID. And it was a very quick turnaround.
And in terms of the production of the movie, in terms of how long you were on set, and in terms of the location, where did you shoot? And was it maybe a 4 to 5 month shoot?
No, absolutely not. It was much shorter than that. Many Blumhouse kind of prides itself on being able to shoot movies pretty quickly, and horror films tend to happen in more limited number of locations. And so we didn't have that many locations to go to. There were a few. We shot the entire film, well, most of the film in Southern California, outside of Los Angeles, in Thousand Oaks and Palmdale, to find those sort of desert vistas that are to look like Texas. The ranch, the ranch lands and whatnot. And then I think there was a few short shots at the beginning of the film that were actually shot in Mexico, that took place in Mexico. Yeah, so that's where we shot, and I'm pretty sure we shot for about 2 months.
Okay, Cassidy. And did COVID affect the production of the movie at all in terms of, no, it was shot?
No, COVID. Yeah, we shot it in November, December of 2019. So it was just before COVID sort of hit, at least the United States. And they did have to delay, I believe, shooting the Mexico shots a little bit because those were not finished when COVID hit the US. And I wasn't in those, so I don't know how that went. But most of the principal photography was finished before COVID.
And Cassidy, are you a big fan of the whole horror scene yourself, in terms of being involved in horror type movies, in terms of that genre? Is it exciting to play as an actress?
It is exciting. I have done horror films before. I'll probably do more in the future. What's fun about them is that they are pretty quick. You can kind of make a bunch of horror movies, and they do ask an actor to really live in kind of a heightened sense of fear, which I'm sure a lot of actors wouldn't like to live in, but I find it kind of fun to really go that far and play that scared or play that evil if you're on the other side. So I enjoy it. I didn't used to like horror movies at all. I really couldn't watch them when they scared me, but I'm getting better.
And in Cassidy, you mentioned you played a character, a sort of pregnant woman, in terms of your role in the movie. And in terms of that, I don't know how long you're pregnant, how long gone you're pregnant, in terms of your character, sort of such. But does it sort of affect your sort of say personalization of the character in terms of wardrobe as well, trying to portray a pregnant woman?
Well, the film actually takes place over a very short period of time, just a day or two. So it is a snapshot into late into her pregnancy, and because it takes place in such a short amount of time, we are wearing pretty much the same clothing the entire film as well. So
yeah. And Cassidy, you mentioned that, and in terms of landing the role in the horror movie, as a cast, did you have much time to sort of gel, in terms of, it was very much, as you mentioned, a quick sort of production? Was it very much arrive on set, the surprise and awe at your fellow castmates, shoot the movie, and then off you go as well, in terms of, is that what horror movies are like? Is there much downtime in between takes?
well, I think every movie is different, whether it's the horror genre or not, and I think that depends on how it's led. It depends on how the director sort of creates a feeling, a vibe of the set. And Everardo, who is from Mexico City, it was important to him to create a very familial feeling on the set. Many of our actors in the film are also from Mexico. And so there was a fun aspect, which I think helped shooting such a serious movie. During lunch, we would have mariachi bands playing, or mariachi music playing, and we would dance, and they'd get a taco truck, or they'd get ice cream trucks to come and sort of like lighten the mood in between the seriousness of what we were doing. Something that I think is pretty special about this business is how you can create a feeling of family in such a short amount of time. And I really enjoyed meeting everyone that I worked with, and a couple of the actors were actually friends of mine before the shoot, so it was nice to feel like a reunion.
And Cassidy, in terms of the 2021 and the remainder of 2022, have you any sort of other sort of productions on the way in terms of what we're going to see here in the Ireland and the UK, maybe in terms of TV series, in terms of movies that are currently in the pipeline, that we might see Cassidy Freeman on our TV screens for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, are you guys get HBO?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I'm on an HBO series called The Righteous Gemstones.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
with John Goodman, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
yes. So that's the series that I shoot, and right now we're about 3/4 of the way through season 2. So I'm sure you guys can get season 1 already.
Yes, with Danny McBride and John Goodman. And in terms of that, I suppose that's comedy to horror. So do you like sort of switching between genres and an actress in terms of that exciting, maybe to go from a horror or movie to maybe a comedy, maybe then to a series sort of role? Does it keep challenging you as an actress and able to switch to different sort of genres each time in terms of TVs and movies? Is that what really exhilarates you as an actress?
Yeah, it's one of the things that does, for sure. I think it's important to be able to play a lot of different genres, and then you sort of sideline the risk of getting just pigeonholed into one thing. It's definitely fun. This is the job that I do for almost half the year, if not more than half the year. So this is the majority of what I spend my time doing, is playing Danny McBride's wife. And it's really, really fun. It's a very different feeling than doing a horror film. I'd much rather do this for 6 months and that for 2 than vice versa. But I think it's fun to always do things that are different, that challenge you and make you sort of think outside of your own like mental character box.
And finally, Cassidy Freeman, for the last 30 seconds, we might turn her over to your character, Cassie herself, and she might enlighten all our audience why they should tune in, why they should go to their movies, the cinema, if there's reopen now in terms of COVID, and to see the Forever Purge and what's in store for them. Over to you, Cassie.
I'm sorry, what would Cassie say?
Yeah, what would Cassidy say in terms of?
Cassidy would just say, like, I hope I don't have this baby in the middle of the most scary moment of my life. Go see if I have the baby.
We'll see if you have the baby. And for you, as an actress, Cassidy Freeman, what would you tell people what's in store for them if they go and see the Forever Purge, and what sort of memories, dare I say, shall it leave?
I think it'll really leave an impression on what humanity means today. I think that it's incredibly violent, though. So if you are a little soft in the violent watching ability, I would take caution and maybe bring like a scarf you can put over your eyes.
On that note, Cassidy Freeman, an absolute pleasure talking to you today as we look in joyful anticipation for the Forever Purge, a horror sort of movie, and no doubt it'll follow on the legacy of the previous sort of Purge movies, and no doubt probably captivate and spellbind over previous versions as well. Cassidy Freeman, absolute pleasure talking to you. We look forward to seeing you on our TV screens in The Righteous Gemstones as well, as you mentioned, Danny McBride's wife, but from comedy to horror and hopefully to many more genres in the future. Cassidy Freeman, pleasure talking to you today, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, Cassidy.
Thank you. Bye, Jim.